All right, here we go. I know. 3, 2, 1. I knew this was going to happen, but honestly, I'm kind of glad it did. I remember telling my wife back when it seemed like they were still trying to decide if Kamala Harris was going to be the one that was going to represent the Democratic Party for the seat of the President of the United States. I remember telling my wife that if she did decide to run for president, that we are going to see just an enormous amount of ugliness that has been simmering within the black community for a very long time. We're going to start seeing it come to the surface because, as someone who's been following politics for years and years and years, it just has this way of kind of shaking up the surface, particularly when it comes to black folks, because we just buy too much into it. And so those feelings start coming out. And I knew it was going to happen, that we were going to start seeing some things that need to be addressed. And so with that being said, I'm going to let this young lady talk a little bit because she's touching on some things that, is exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take a listen.
So, hey everybody, I want to start out by thanking discouragers based off of their bad experiences. A lot of really bad ideas about the aunties, and to say, and I praise God for his protection. With that being said, today I just wanted to get on here and talk to y'all a little bit about the aunties. And what I mean by the aunties is, I'm sure a lot of y'all know what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about a lot of these older women, especially, that come online and just spread a lot of really bad ideologies, really negative ways of thinking to the masses, and especially to us women. They discourage us based off of their bad experiences. They project their negative emotions on us based off of what they've gone through.
Hold on a second. I have to do this again.
Having the conversation is because it's definitely hard talking about certain topics, but we don't let up because just because people don't want to hear the truth. So, hey, everybody, I want to start out by thanking God. Thank God for his protection. I thank God for the support that I get because it's definitely hard talking about certain topics, but we don't let up because just because people don't want to hear the truth, you can't just not tell it. You can't just silence your voice. So I just wanted to take that moment and just say thank you to him. Um, y'all cannot imagine the death threats that I've gotten over the years on different platforms. Just having the conversation is difficult sometimes. So I'm just really thankful to those that support me and listen to what I have to say. And I praise God for his protection. With that being said, today I just wanted to get on here and talk to y'all a little bit about the aunties. And what I mean by the aunties is, I'm sure a lot of y'all know what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about a lot of these older women, especially, that come online and just spread a lot of really bad ideologies, really negative ways of thinking to the masses, and especially to us women. They discourage us based off of their bad experiences. They project their negative emotions on us based off of what they've gone through. And a lot of them are just very miserable. They're very miserable. They're nasty. And they want us to be a part of their misery. Like, we've all heard the phrase, misery loves company. And it's so true. Misery loves company. These women who are spreading this stuff, they want us to be miserable just like them, whether they admit it or not. A lot of them don't even like to acknowledge that they're miserable or just address their misery. But it's the facts, and it reflects in their projection. A lot of them, they speak against relationships, they speak against marriage. They make it seem like men are just the scum of the earth, like there's just no positivity. They say, oh, things like, oh, marriage doesn't benefit women, and stay by yourself, be single, be celibate. They just preach all these different ideologies. And a lot of times it comes from the fact that they've either been married and had an unsuccessful marriage, a lot of times by their own doing and by their own fault. A lot of them have either not been able to attract the kind of man that they want, not be able to attract a man that has ever even asked to marry them, or just haven't been married. And now they're old, they're alone, and they want to project those same nasty insecurities onto you. They want you to be alone too. And I just encourage y'all, if y'all listen to them, because I'm not going to lie, like, I'm a believer of eat the meat, spit out the bone. A lot of creators that we listen to, including myself, you're not going to agree with everything I say. Most people, you're not going to agree with everything that they say. So if you want to listen to them, cool. If you find something that is beneficial that they say that works for you, cool. Again, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But as far as really listening to these women, seeking them for advice, they're not the ones. Especially if you know, hey, I want a man, I want to be married, or even if you don't want to be married, I want a man. If you know that, the last thing you need in your space is negative energy and women talking down on marriage and down on relationship and down on men just because you didn't get the outcome that you wanted. If you notice, you never really see these aunties explaining to you, oh, how to pick a man, how to vet a man, how to attract a good man, how to even be attracted to a good man. Because a lot of our issue is we don't even like good men a lot of times. We like the bad boys. We like the F boys. We like men that you shouldn't even be dealing with in the first place. They never teach you those types of lessons. They never tell you, hey, from my experience, this is the kind of man that you want. This is the kind of man that you don't want. They just want to throw the whole male race away. And that's not the answer. That's not the energy you need. That's not the energy that you should want around. These women are literally going to help dig you in a grave, because at the end of the day, men are needed. Men are important. A lot of us, you want a man. These same aunties that are speaking against men and how terrible they are, these are the same women who are freezing eggs. These are the same women who, when they get older, they're all calling in to Kendra or whomever and trying to find somebody. Like, no. And then
Test. Well, if you want to watch the rest of the video, because she continues on that same vein for another few minutes, but if you want to watch the entire video, I'll have the link in the description, and then you can check her out there. Oftentimes, people like to make reference to the Bible when the Bible talks about how the older women are supposed to train up the younger women. But I have to tell you, in this day and time right now, I wouldn't follow that advice. I wouldn't follow that advice, in most cases, because it seems like the younger women, at least some of them at least seem like they got a lot more sense than some of these older women that are out here. So it's really not advice that I would follow in this day and time. And she saw this one. And as she just described, I mean, you have a lot of these older women who are just bitter, angry, frustrated at life. And then this is one of the unfortunate things about social media, and this applies to anybody. Energy, it never dies. Energy is always going to continue on regardless of the format and the platform. And so what happens is when you have individuals, and this is regardless if it's a black woman, black man, white woman, it doesn't matter. But when you're using social media that can reach all the ends of the earth, and you are someone who's wounded and you're hurt, you're spreading that same negative energy to literally potentially millions of people. And you have out here impressionable young women, especially within the context of this conversation, who look at that and say, you know what? She may have a point. I'm going to start adapting that in my own life. And this is partly why we see what we see today amongst younger women. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know that, part of our journey is, or a big part of our journey was coming out of the church/Christian system and then finding ourselves going into the Hebrew world or the Hebrew space system, whatever you want to call it. And I can personally tell you that what she's talking about is something that I saw a whole lot, especially within the in the Hebrew space. I mean, when you take the time and actually listen to numbers of these women who are in that space, who are on these different platforms, a lot of what they have to say is just doom and gloom. It's anger, it's bitterness, it's just calling down judgment. It's just, there's nothing really positive or uplifting that I hear coming out of that demographic. Not at all. I don't. I'm just being honest with you. But when you compare what they're saying on the regular to like what this young lady was saying, like, okay, this is how do you prepare for marriage, or how do you, what are some of the things you need to do in yourself so that you can be a good wife or a potential good wife, or what to look for in a man, that kind of stuff. You don't hardly hear any of that. Most of it is just calling out, any bad instance of a black man that did something stupid or ridiculous. But other than that, flipping that and just saying, hey, listen, here are some good examples. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just very rare that you see that. And what's unfortunate is that you have many, many younger women who see this kind of stuff and they feel like they have to reflect that in their own lives. But by embracing that narrative, they themselves will find themselves, mimicking, that their lives are actually reflecting the depression that this person is coming from. It starts to reverberate in their own lives, and then they're sitting back scratching their heads wondering why is it that I can't find anybody. It's because you're pulling from that same negative energy. Now on this platform, we've even had women reach out to message us and told us, one of the main reasons why they had to disassociate themselves with as far as the Hebrew stuff is concerned, is because of the fact of what they were, this kind of activity, this kind of behavior, because they saw what the impact it was not only having on them, but the impact that they saw it was having on their marriage. And so when they realized that, they were like, I got to get out of here because this is just too much. Now, of course, I am not sitting up here saying that all black women fall into this category. So please miss me with that. That is not what I'm saying, nor am I suggesting that at all. But what I am saying is that for the instances where this does happen, we have to be just as fearless we are when we're calling out the nonsense that comes from black men. We have to not let up with the same amount of energy when it comes to this negative vibe that we're seeing coming out of these auntie types, within, the black community. Because you cannot build a community with this kind of energy. This is why on this platform, we are very strong advocates when it comes to, encouraging people to go get help, to go get some professional help, and talking with people who are professionals in the area of healing, self-healing. The problem is in this society that we're in today is that many people feel that they can get that by going into chat rooms and on social media, going on Facebook, going on these different social media platforms. Honey, listen, let me tell you something. The trauma and the pain that you may have encountered in your life at whatever stage of life that happened, you're not going to get the help you need by talking to other people that you've never met, people that you don't know where they came from. Are they trained in this area at all? People that you just never seen their faces. You're not going to get the help you need by talking or listening to people like that. It is important. It is vital. If you find yourself in a situation like that where, listen, I was very hurt, I was abused, whatever it may be, but you're finding yourself still carrying that pain and that hurt. If I could scream and tell you, that it will make you do it, I would do it, but that's your decision. But I will tell you that, yes, you definitely need to look to get some type of professional help, because, without that, you're just going to continue to fester over and over again. And it's having an adverse effect on these future generations. Every time you pull out your phone to respond to something, or, every time you post something, a lot of that is coming from a place of hurt and pain that you just refuse to get looked at and to get healed from it. In the future, we're going to do a video. I'm going to do a video where we're going to take a closer look. I've done videos in the past about this topic, but about the WNBA. The WNBA has been a very interesting study this season. And man, I have a lot of notes, a whole lot of notes. And I was actually going to do that video at the time I'm recording this one, but I just said, man, it's just going to be too lengthy when I do that video. But look out for that video, because this same thing that we're talking about, the WNBA right now is plagued with that. And this is why, unfortunately, the WNBA is where it is right now. Now, the other thing I will say is stop calling everybody that's older than you, addressing them as auntie and uncle, because those are titles, those are deep terms of endearment that should hold a lot of special, deep meaning for individuals, instead of just throwing that around. I mean, like I've brought up the many times people refer to Congresswoman Maxine Waters as auntie. This is a politician. She's not your aunt, and now you got people addressing Kamala Harris as Mamala. Again, these are politicians. They weren't there when you were young. They don't have the history with you. And, we've take these terms and we just so quick to throw them on people simply because we perceive them as, just because they're older, that means they're wiser. Let me tell you something. That's not true. And let me give you an example. I've had someone in the past try to assert themselves as an uncle, for me. And I drew that line real quick and I was like, no, this is not my uncle. I don't care if it's blood or not. This is not my uncle, because when you look at the character of the individual, the advice that they have given and their own advice has panned out to be perpetual failures. And these are things, this is someone that I would not even allow to get near my children. And they're grown and giving any kind of advice. And so, no, I will not give individuals that, you're not going to just step in my life and assert yourself as an uncle or an auntie simply because you're older. I've had people try to assert that even in my comment section. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't care if you're older or not. But what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, it's coming from a place that I can't grow on that. I can't build on that. It's bad advice. And we have to start calling this stuff out for what it is instead of just simply tolerating it simply because someone is older. Now, I'm not saying you have to be disrespectful. It's a way to do that. But you also have to be forceful and draw the line to the foolishness, because this is exactly what it is. It's raw foolishness coming from people that you would think should know better, but in reality, they don't. And it's okay to draw the line and say, no, you're not my auntie. You're not my uncle. You even have some people call them, that are aunties. That's another one. I'll get it. Now, so what are your thoughts on this? What I'm really looking forward to is hearing from some of you in the comments section. Have you encountered this kind of attitude or behavior, or someone has encountered this? What is the impact that it had on your own life? What's the impact that it had in decisions that you made? And then the bonus one that I would love to hear from are individuals who unfortunately fell into this auntie, category. Maybe you're one of these aunties that were giving advice and telling people what to do based off of your own hurt and pain, but now you've kind of realized, man, I was making a mistake. It's okay. I'm not a priest and I don't, it's not about confessional, but I will tell you that, being transparent can help a lot of people, and so that would be really nice to hear from people who may have noticed that they were falling into this category and they realized the damage that they were doing. So we would love to hear from from people like you as well. So, but anyway, I thought this was a really good video. Again, the link to the entire video is going to be in the description below if you want to watch the whole thing, which I would definitely encourage you to do that. So thank you so much for tuning in to this video. And as always, we really appreciate you guys. Take care, and we will see you again really soon. Have a great day.